Hi, guys, and welcome to another 7-minute lecture. So, we have a pretty interesting topic today. Will the robots take over the world? Will artificial intelligence take over humanity when it hits a certain level of sophistication? Here, as with most debates, we tend to see two distinct camps. One camp that says that not only is this inevitable, but that we're pretty close to this moment happening. And there's another side that says, you know what, we are so far away from technology being able to sort of replace us in fundamental levels that all of this is just futuristic nonsense. So let's look at both sides. Firstly, this event is referred to as the technological singularity, right? So technology experts and scholars refer to this hypothetical moment in the future where the robots take over, the sort of the Terminator style moment where Skynet rises, right? And the robots march on us. This moment is known as the singularity. So the side that says that the singularity is coming soon typically tends to look at something called Moore's law. Moore's law is basically something that states that the number of transistors in an integrated circuit has been doubling every 2 years. In layman's terms, what that means is that if we look at the rate at which technology is advancing, it is clearly exponential, and we will clearly come to a point where technology is advancing at such a rapid pace that we will all be left behind, as in that technology will start creating such massive transformations in human society that even human society will not be able to keep up with it, right? And this is called exponential growth. I mean, just look at the last 15 years, right? Just look at the crazy amount of technological innovation and advancement in communication, in medicine, in all kinds of things, simply in the last 15 to 20 years. And guess what? In the next 15 to 20 years, it will be even higher because it just keeps becoming it just keeps doubling, exponential growth. Right? Another argument that some people make is that at some point of time we will be able to sort of reverse engineer the human brain, and that once we understand mechanically how the human brain works, we will be able to replicate that with machines as well. Right? So those are the two basic arguments. So there's a technologist called Ray Kurzweil who predicts that the singularity will happen as early as 2045. Right? He says that if you look at everything, all things considered, we could be looking at the singularity as early as 25 years from now. On the other side, there are the skeptics who say that all of this is hype and fuss and fear-mongering for no reason. That while in terms of mechanical capabilities and mechanical instructions, we might be able to create sort of forms of artificial intelligence where their capabilities exceed human ones, that in terms of cognition, understanding, insight, right, wisdom, that we are so far away from understanding any of those concepts that this whole idea of evil megalomaniacal robots wanting to take over the world is just fantasy, right? And one thing they often point out to is, what is a robot, right? What governs a robot? What is the brain of a robot? Just like how all of us have a brain, what will be the brain of machines? It will be the chip, right? And the fundamental thing that dictates everything about a machine will be the program that's written into that chip, which then functions as the brain of the quote-unquote robot. Now, what is a program? It's a set of instructions, right? So while you might be able to inscribe physical capabilities and instructions into a microchip, for example, you can create an AI-driven fighter jet that can outmaneuver human pilots in digital simulations, and they already have, right? You can create self-driving cars, which would have seemed like a complete fantasy just 30 years ago. Just 30 years ago, people would have said that we're at least 100 years away from cars that can just drive themselves. And yet here we are in today's day and age where all of that is becoming a reality. The skeptics say that while we can do things like that, in terms of them actually being sentient creatures, in terms of them having consciousness, in terms of them having desires, we have absolutely no way how we can sort of factor all that into a program, how we can factor all that into a chip. We simply do not know enough about the basics of psychology for us to be able to replicate that. So you might be able to create a guard dog, right? A robot guard dog, which can be programmed to attack an intruder. A robot guard dog which is programmed to, I don't know, detect things, right? Based on electromagnetic waves or radar or whatever it is. That is possible in the near future. But the skeptics say that the idea that this robot dog can now be made, right, that in 25 years we will have robot dogs that are capable of wagging their tails in happiness when they see you, are capable of feeling insight, emotion, understanding, that we are still very, very far away from that. Yes, understanding in terms of problem solving, reaction, right? You can always say, if this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. That kind of logical framework you can design into a machine, right? But in terms of that machine being awake, that machine being conscious in sort of the sense that humans would define consciousness, we are very, very far away from that. And in terms of the robot sort of making this decision that they need to take over, people say, the skeptics say, we are centuries away from that, right? So those are the two sides, guys. Tell me what you think. Do you believe that the march of progress clearly shows that we are on the cusp of all kinds of technology that we consider impossible now, and that artificial intelligence and threats like the singularity are very real and present? Or do you side with the skeptics who say that all of this is just nonsense, right? All of this is just humanity's arrogance. Because for us to claim that a machine can now, within the next 25 or 30 years, become smarter than us and take over what we do, to a certain extent, that is our own sort of pride in our technological progress, and that is perhaps us overestimating our own brilliance in the scientific arena, right? So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.